The champagne glasses are still sparkling, the designer clothes still gleaming, but behind the perfectly curated Instagram posts and glossy magazine covers, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are reportedly living a lie so elaborate it would make a Hollywood scriptwriter blush.
She is hoping that she's going to become a billionaire off all of this.
What looks like a billionaire lifestyle is actually a house of cards built on borrowed time, inheritance money, and increasingly desperate publicity stunts. Sources close to the couple reveal a financial reality that's the complete opposite of what they want the world to believe. While they're posing in multi-million-dollar mansions and jetting around in private aircraft, insiders say their bank accounts are telling a very different story. The gap between their spending and their actual income has become so wide that even their most loyal supporters are starting to whisper about the inevitable crash that's coming. The most brutal example of this financial fantasy? Meghan's so-called business empire, American Riviera Orchard. What was supposed to be her ticket to billionaire status turned into one of the most embarrassing product launches in celebrity history. The brand that was going to make her the next Martha Stewart lasted about as long as a summer romance, and the reasons why will shock you. When Meghan announced American Riviera Orchard with all the fanfare of a royal coronation, she painted a picture of a lifestyle empire that would rival the biggest names in the business. Fancy promotional videos, celebrity endorsements, and promises of exclusive products that would transform ordinary homes into luxury sanctuaries. But here's what really happened behind the scenes, and it's absolutely devastating. Netflix, who everyone assumed would bankroll this venture as part of their massive deal with the couple, took one look at Meghan's business plan and basically laughed her out of the room. Instead of funding thousands of products like a real lifestyle brand would need, they agreed to finance just enough inventory for a tiny initial batch. We're talking hundreds of items, not thousands. So when Meghan proudly announced that everything sold out in 45 minutes, she was technically telling the truth, but it was the kind of truth that reveals a much darker reality. This wasn't success, it was smoke and mirrors. Any legitimate business owner will tell you that selling out in under an hour either means you're Apple launching the iPhone, or you had almost nothing to sell in the first place. Meghan chose to spin it as the former when everyone in the industry knew it was the latter. The brand disappeared faster than it appeared, and now sources say she won't touch it again until next year, if ever. That's not a strategic pause. That's what happens when you realize your business model was built on quicksand from day one. But the American Riviera Orchard disaster was just the tip of the iceberg. According to royal insider Lady Colin Campbell, Meghan and Harry made a fundamental miscalculation that's now threatening to destroy everything they've built. They looked at their Netflix deal, their book contracts, and their celebrity status, and somehow convinced themselves they were playing in the same league as tech billionaires and media moguls. They weren't just wrong, they were catastrophically wrong. The couple apparently believed that fame alone would be enough to open every door, fund every venture, and sustain the kind of lifestyle that requires hundreds of millions of dollars in capital. They thought Netflix would be their personal ATM, that publishers would throw money at them for years, and that their royal connections would make them untouchable in the business world. Instead, they're discovering that Hollywood runs on results, not fairy tales, and their results have been absolutely brutal. The spending spree they've been on would make lottery winners nervous. Private security teams that cost more per month than most people make in a year. A Montecito mansion that requires an army of staff to maintain. Luxury travel, designer wardrobes, PR consultants, stylists, legal teams for their ongoing battles with the media. The numbers are staggering, and here's the terrifying part. Their income isn't even close to covering these expenses. This is where the story gets really dark. Sources reveal that Meghan and Harry have been quietly burning through inheritance money from Princess Diana and the Queen Mother just to keep their lifestyle afloat. This isn't investment income or business profits we're talking about. This is capital, the kind of money that once it's gone forever. They're essentially eating their own financial foundation to maintain an image that's becoming more expensive every day. The inheritance from Princess Diana was supposed to provide long-term security for Harry and his family. Instead, it's being used to pay for the kind of extravagant lifestyle that even actual billionaires think twice about. When you're spending inherited money just to make ends meet, you're not building wealth, you're destroying it. And according to insiders, this has been going on for much longer than anyone realized. Harry's memoir, Spare, was supposed to be their financial salvation, the publishing deal that would set them up for life. The media coverage certainly made it look that way, with headlines about record-breaking sales and massive advances. But publishing insiders tell a completely different story, one that reveals just how desperate their situation has become. The book was heavily discounted almost immediately after launch, which means reduced royalties for Harry and significantly lower profits for the publisher. Penguin Random House reportedly lost money on the deal, essentially subsidizing the book's success to save face. When your publisher is losing money just to make your book look successful, that's not a win, that's a warning sign. Harry got his cut, but after taxes, agents, lawyers, and the ongoing costs of their lifestyle, it was nowhere near the life-changing windfall they were counting on. This pattern of financial disappointment extends to their biggest deal of all, the Netflix partnership. What was announced as a $100 million collaboration has reportedly been restructured, limited, and scaled back so many times that it barely resembles the original agreement. Netflix isn't a charity, they're a business, and businesses don't throw good money after bad indefinitely. The streaming giant's reluctance to fully fund American Riviera Orchard wasn't just about that specific brand. It was a signal of their overall confidence in Meghan and Harry's ability to deliver profitable content. Netflix has billions to spend on content, but they're not going to waste it on vanity projects that don't generate subscribers or revenue. The fact that they pulled back so quickly and so completely should have been a wake-up call, but instead, it seems to have sparked an even more desperate scramble for new opportunities. Enter Meghan's latest pivot, fashion. But this isn't just another career change. It's a financial Hail Mary thrown by someone who's running out of options. Fashion is one of the most brutal industries in the world, where even established celebrities with deep pockets struggle to make a profit. Victoria Beckham, who had David's football fortune backing her for years, barely broke even for the longest time. Rihanna succeeded with Savage x Fenty, but she came in with a clear brand identity and massive financial backing. Meghan has neither. She's not a designer, has no fashion industry experience, and most importantly, doesn't have the tens of millions required to launch a legitimate fashion line. Without major brand partnerships or licensing deals, she's essentially trying to enter a heavyweight boxing match as an amateur. The math simply doesn't work, and insiders are already questioning how she plans to fund production, distribution, and marketing without burning through what's left of their dwindling capital. But perhaps the most shocking revelation is what allegedly happened behind the scenes with Vogue magazine. Sources claim that Meghan didn't just ask for a cover feature, she demanded it. And not just any cover, but a global front-page spread that would reportedly come at the expense of Serena Williams, one of her few remaining high-profile friends. The alleged attempt to have Serena removed from a Vogue cover to make space for herself represents a level of calculated betrayal that's stunning even by Hollywood standards. Serena Williams has been one of Meghan's most loyal supporters, defending her through controversies and maintaining their friendship despite the media circus. If the reports are true, Meghan was willing to throw that friendship away for a magazine cover that she believed would boost her fashion ambitions. The plan backfired spectacularly. Anna Wintour, the editor-in-chief of Vogue, has built her empire through decades of ruthless precision and absolute control over her publication. The idea that someone with no fashion credentials would try to dictate terms to one of the most powerful women in media was either incredibly naive or dangerously arrogant. Either way, it reportedly killed any chance of the collaboration and left Meghan's fashion dreams without the crucial media support they desperately needed. Without Vogue's backing, any fashion line Meghan launches will have to compete in an overcrowded market with no guaranteed audience and very little industry goodwill. Even in the best-case scenario, we're talking about licensing deals that might generate 3 to 5% royalties, maybe 10% if she negotiates aggressively. But there's no billion-dollar empire at the end of that rainbow, just another celebrity brand trying to survive at an increasingly skeptical marketplace. The desperation is starting to show in other ways, too. The recent viral TikTok video of a flight attendant gushing over Meghan's kindness and beautiful handwriting looks increasingly like a manufactured PR stunt designed to counter growing reports about her difficult behavior with airline staff. Flight attendants have strict policies about posting celebrity encounters, yet this one faced no consequences, received no official reprimand, and generated exactly the kind of positive coverage Meghan desperately needs. The timing was too perfect, the content too convenient, and the lack of corporate response too suspicious. Real celebrity encounters that violate airline policies result in investigations and disciplinary action. Staged PR moments get a pass because they benefit everyone involved. The fact that this happened just as other, less flattering stories about Meghan's travel behavior were circulating makes it look like classic damage control rather than genuine admiration. But PR stunts and manufactured moments can only distract from the underlying financial crisis for so long. The numbers don't lie, and the numbers are becoming increasingly terrifying for Meghan and Harry. King Charles has reportedly drawn a firm line. No more bailouts, no more handouts, no more royal family financial support. If Harry comes back asking for help, he'll be met with silence. This isn't personal spite, it's policy. Charles was tough with Prince Andrew during his scandals, and he's not about to create a precedent of rescuing royal family members who make expensive mistakes. The royal brand is trying to rebuild its credibility and reputation, and that means cutting ties with financial liabilities, even when those liabilities are family members. The reality facing Meghan and Harry is stark and unforgiving. Their lifestyle demands hundreds of millions in capital, but they barely have a tenth of that amount. Every failed business venture brings them closer to a financial cliff that gets steeper every day. The inheritance money that's been keeping them afloat won't last forever, and there's no sustainable income stream large enough to replace it. The question isn't whether their next ventures will succeed anymore. The question is whether they can afford to fail even one more time. In an industry that runs on momentum and perception, they're fighting against both. The public mood has shifted, the media coverage has turned skeptical, and the business world is asking harder questions about return on investment. Lady Colin Campbell's assessment that Meghan is toast isn't just tabloid gossip, it's a reflection of how quickly the celebrity ecosystem can turn against someone when the failures start piling up. One bad launch leads to skeptical investors. One bad headline leads to canceled meetings. One bad deal leads to closed doors throughout the industry. The tragic irony is that they had everything they needed to succeed just a few years ago. They walked away from the royal family with unprecedented global sympathy, a once-in-a-generation media spotlight, and opportunities that most celebrities could only dream of. But instead of building something sustainable and smart, they aimed straight for superstardom without putting in the work to earn it. Now they're juggling PR distractions, half-finished business ventures, and rapidly declining credibility, while their bank accounts drain faster than they can be refilled. The empire they imagined is collapsing before it was ever really built, and unless something dramatic changes soon, Meghan and Harry might become the first royals in modern history to go from palace to bankruptcy court. The champagne is still flowing, the designer clothes are still pristine, but the foundation underneath it all is crumbling. And when it finally gives way, the fall is going to be spectacular.